Alright guys, so today we're going to do a little chatty update video, just kind of talk to you about how I've been doing, talk to you about my mental health, talk about how I've been doing like on my lexapro and like with my counseling, like how that has been going. So just give a little chatty update on life. If you're here for it, if you want to put me on in the background, that's great, and you can do some laundry or get some stuff around the house, and we're just gonna have a little chatting session. I feel like it's been a while since I do one of these. I think the last time I sat down to just like chat about like a big life update was unfortunately when momma passed away, and that was obviously not the best news. So let's talk about how things have been going. So first of all, I want to thank you guys, like all of you guys who have been asking me how I'm doing, and like those of you guys who've been like rooting me on lately, because like I'll share something on Instagram like, oh, I took the kids out on an adventure by myself, and like the fact that you guys I've said it already before like in one of my vlogs, but the fact that you guys like get so excited when you see me do stuff, like that means the world to me, because it really does give me like that extra like support that I need to like really go out and start facing some of my fears. So thank you guys for being like my virtual cheerleaders in that sense. Like it really means a lot. So I've shared here already like the fact that I had been dealing with postpartum anxiety, all of the anxiety, I mean just all of the anxiety. What prompted me, what was it, back in May I was prompted to finally do something about it, to finally get on the lexapro, start seeing a counselor online and all of that, because it was really bad. Like it was really bad. Couldn't even get in the car, couldn't drive with the kids, was scared that something bad was gonna happen literally any time that I would leave the house. So I got on the lexapro back in May. So what's that been? May to June, June to July, July to August, August to September, September to October. So I've been on lexapro now for 5 months, and I've only been on 10 milligrams. That's like the dose that I'm on. So I take 10 milligrams a day, and I feel like it has helped so much. I mean, I was very scared about lexapro when I first got on it. Like I was very scared of, like, I don't know, I'm scared to take medication like that, because a lot of what you hear about anxiety meds or depression meds is like, oh, you're gonna feel like a completely different person, or like there's so much unknown, right? Like how is this gonna make me feel? How is this gonna affect my daily life? And I just got to a point where I needed to try something, right? Because it was affecting my ability to be a good mom to my kids. And that's when it really started getting scary, because I need to be a high functioning individual in order to take care of my kids. So I decided to talk to my OB about it. She got me on the lexapro, and I do feel like it has helped. I'll tell you, the first 2 or 3 days that I took it, I don't know if I ever told you like what happened when I started taking it. The first 2 or 3 days I legit felt drunk. I felt like I was like I felt like I was drunk, like intoxicated. So that was a little scary. I just guess like my body getting used to it. Like I was a little dizzy and loopy. I wanted to sleep all the time. So after the 3 days though, I was fine. After that beginning initial like adjustment, my body adjusted to it and it was fine. So all this time that I have been on lexapro, what I've liked about it is that I don't feel like a different person. Like I still feel like myself, just I have overall less anxiety. I used to wake up and like my heart would be like pounding from the moment that I woke up for no apparent reason. I was just a lot more afraid of things. I was a lot more, it's hard to like exactly describe what it's like when you're anxious about things, but I legit like wouldn't take the kids in the car. I wouldn't, you know, I didn't want to drive any long distance. I had a lot of fears. So I feel like the lexapro has helped. But with that being said, I don't think that it's just been the lexapro that I've been on that has overall helped my mental state and just my overall mental health. When I decided that I needed to do something about my anxiety, I really wanted to tackle it from like different directions, because I had a lot of people that were like, oh, just get on medication, medication alone helps you. Then I had other people that I would talk to and they'd be like, all you need is Jesus, like you don't need any medication. And again, Jesus, I mean, has been helping me like big time, and I attribute a lot of what I have been able to like come to peace with, and like all of that, to just diving more into the Bible, reading my devotionals, all of that, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I don't think it necessarily had to be like one or the other, or like if you choose one route that makes you a bad person or the other route makes you a bad person. I just feel like I personally wanted to tackle it from different directions, and I feel like that has helped me a lot. So I got on the lexapro. At the same time, I've been, again, getting really into the devotionals and focusing on my faith and focusing on like memorizing some scriptures that really help me when I'm anxious, and that has helped a lot. And then the other thing that I did was I saw an online counselor. Up until like last month, I think I ended up getting discharged from her, like telling her like I think we're done with sessions, I think last month. So I did that for 3 or 4 months, just once a week, talking to my counselor. I wanted it to be something easy that I could do, because I knew that if I had to like drive somewhere and like go see an in-person therapist, I would have not lasted as long as I did. So for me, I ended up using like BetterHelp, which they're not sponsoring me. They never sponsored me for that. I paid for that with my own money, which it was very expensive, I'll tell you that. But the service worked. You know, I was paired with a therapist and I got to talk to her once a week. The sessions were only like 35 minutes, so it wasn't even like a full hour, which that I didn't really love. But I feel like just having someone to talk to that wasn't like Joe or my kids or my mom was very helpful. And the other thing that I think also helped was the fact that when I looked for a counselor, I looked for a Christian counselor. So I wanted somebody that was going to counsel me not only through like you know, things that a normal counselor would say to you and give you techniques and all of that of how to deal with your anxiety, and all of those things are valid and good, which my counselor also did. But I also wanted to have some faith-based counseling mixed in that. And I like that I was able to find a Christian counselor that I could talk to about the Bible, that, you know, she could give me verses to think about and could talk to me about Jesus and all of that. And it was good. So I didn't even really realize that that was a thing, that you could find a Christian counselor. So that's something that I did that I found to be just really good for me. So I've been doing all of that for a good, like, you know, 5 months, 4 or 5 months. And I feel like right now I'm in a place where, I mean, I still have a lot of work to do. I can't tell you like, oh, anxiety just absolutely disappeared. I'm never scared about things. I'm never, you know, looking around my shoulders when I go to the parking lot at Target, and every time I see a white van, I do still like think, okay, maybe they're here to kidnap me. But, you know, I feel like I'm at a point where I can tackle things, where I feel a lot more confident in my ability to do things, and I'm just overall less anxious about it. And that has been great for my mental health, because being here, being in Virginia with very little support, it was rough for a really long time, because I wasn't even confident that I could take the kids to the library by myself, because that's not something I was capable of doing. And now that I've been doing things like that, like every time that I go out and I do something with the kids, it's like a little win for me. And not every trip is perfect. Sometimes I end up with a screaming kid, but I'm able to remind myself like we did it and we survived. And that's all been good for my overall mental health. It also helps just the fact that I've been able to get out of the house and that I don't feel like I'm just stuck in my house. I was also able to make a mom friend at Riley's dance class, and that has also been great, because, you know, that's something scary. Like, it shouldn't be scary to think, oh, let me make a friend. But as a mom and as an adult, it's hard to make friends. And never in a million years did I think like, oh, I'd be exchanging numbers with another like woman, another mom, and it's weird and it's awkward, and what if she doesn't like me, and what if she never texts me, like all these things that I had been fearing. Like, I ended up being like, okay, it's a scary thing, but I'm gonna do it. And I did it, and now I have a mom friend. And it's just great, because now I'll DM her on Instagram all the time. We text. The kids had a play date. We're setting up another one. She's my photographer friend too, so she's taking our fall pictures. So she's somebody that I can talk to and relate to, and that's been really helpful for my mental health. So overall, like, I've just been trying to focus on like the wins, like I said, focus on the positives, focus on the fact that maybe yesterday I was able to drive to Target. The next day I was able to drive somewhere, you know, 1 minute farther than that. The next day I was able to drive somewhere that was 15 minutes away. Like, just making those small little baby steps, like, that's a big deal. and I'm glad that it's something that I've been able to get to at this point. Overall, I feel like I'm in a good place. I feel like it's also helped, like, Jackson's now entering the terrible twos, my friends. Like, he's gonna be 2 in December, and he's a rowdy child. He's a rowdy child, not a very good listener. Cute as can be, but he's gonna be rough, and he's already started that, like, just the tantrums and meltdowns for no freaking reason. I tell him don't touch the fly, like it's like I told him that the earth was ending. Like, it's just it's been rough in that sense. But I feel one of the things that I have felt since being on lexapro and kind of treating my anxiety is that I still have a temper, don't get me wrong. It's not like I walk around and every day I'm cool and, you know, I never scream, I never yell, I never lose my SHIT. Like, I still do, but it's less than before. And I feel like I have a little bit more patience, and my fuse is a little bit, you know, like longer. I have a longer fuse, so it takes a little more for me to get really upset. I still have certain triggers, like loud noises still trigger me when all of the noise, all of the TVs are on, Riley's iPad is on, like when 2 people are trying to talk to me at the same time, like it's too much. So I still do have triggers, and there are some days that are much better than others. Some days it's just not a good day. But overall, I feel like we're having more good days than we're having bad days, and that's obviously important. But probably like the biggest thing that I've noticed in terms of, like, you know, being on the meds and stuff is like I'm not as angry, because I never dealt with, and I've told you this before, I've never dealt with like depression. I've never dealt with sadness or like feeling like my life is worthless or just being sad and crying all the time and depressed, like what I believe depression would look like. Because, you know, maybe I'm totally wrong in that. I don't know enough about it, but I don't feel like I've been depressed. But I have faced that anxiety and that like rage and that quick temper and snapping and being like on edge, and I feel like I have been a lot less of that, which is something that I have very much enjoyed. That I haven't been, you know, just so on edge all the time and ready to bite everybody's head off. I promise you that Joseph Buell has appreciated that. So I think that's been a good thing, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so glad that I gave the medication a chance. Again, I think all of the factors contribute to how I've been feeling, and that's why it's hard to say like, oh, it was all the lexapro, or oh, it was all the counseling, or it was all the fact that I've been focusing on my faith. I think that all of that for me has been necessary. So I'm glad that that's the route that I chose, you know, to kind of tackle it more holistically than just medically or just spiritually or just physically, you know what I mean? But I feel happier, you know. Yes, we've still had losses in our life, like when Mima passed away, and it's still hard some days, and that is something that's hard for me to think about right now. And again, something that we've just been trying to deal with. But despite that, there's still a lot of happiness. There's still a lot of things that we're looking forward to. Like fall for me is like my favorite time of year. You know, obviously I miss my family back home, but I'm really trying to take advantage of fall here in Virginia because we don't know how long we're gonna be here. So as long as we're here, trying to make the best of it, trying to focus on the positives, trying to focus on doing all of the things that we can't do back in Miami over here. So that's like why we've been, you know, apple picking and doing the fall festivals and just taking in the beautiful scenery that we have here that we don't have back home. So that's been good. Having things to do as a family has been good. And then at the same time, we have a lot of things to look forward to in this season too, because we're going back to Miami like in a few days. We're gonna go back down there for just like 9 or 10 days in October. Then we're going back for Thanksgiving, God willing. We're gonna go there for Thanksgiving, and then in December we're supposed to see Joe's brother and their kids, and we're supposed to, you know, spend Christmas time with them. So we have a lot of good things in the works, which are things that are obviously like helping us to feel excited about the next few months. So I'm glad that we have that. Now I know that like I'm just kind of like rambling here with you guys. I'm just like spitballing and chatting and stuff, but I do want to go back to the lexapro, and I want to share something that like has not been the best about lexapro. So when I first decided to get on lexapro, I had heard that one of the big side effects of sometimes anxiety medication and stuff is that you can gain weight. And I think I shared that with you guys when I first got on the medicine. And at that time, I told you that I wasn't weighing myself. I didn't want to be like weighing myself every day or every week, because I didn't want to be like, oh, look at me, now I'm gaining weight on lexapro, so let me get off of lexapro. You know, I didn't want that to impact how I was, you know, whether or not I continued on lexapro. Like, I didn't want my weight to be a factor. So for the longest time, I didn't step on a scale, but I did notice, like I did notice that I was having to go up a size in jeans, okay? So I used to be like a 4, now I am very well a 6. And I finally stepped on the scale a couple weeks ago, and sure enough, I'm weighing probably the most that I have ever weighed in my adult life. And that's been like, you know, not like my favorite thing in the world. So before I turned on the camera, now I went to weigh myself, and I'm weighing 132 pounds. When I was nursing Jackson, I was weighing like, I think the lowest that I got down to when I was nursing Jackson was like, I think I was even like 113, 115 pounds. So I've gained a good at least 15, 20 pounds since I like stopped nursing Jackson and since I got on the medication. What's hard for me in terms of like figuring out why that weight gain happened is because, remember, I started lexapro like the minute that I technically stopped completely nursing Jackson. So was it some of the lexapro that caused the weight gain, or was it also the fact that I was no longer nursing? It could have been a combination of both, but I've definitely seen an increase in the weight. And I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, I still feel good. Luckily, a lot of the weight has gone to my butt. So, you know, there's that. You know, I've got a bigger booty these days. But there's definitely been the weight gain. So I did want to, like, be honest with you guys in terms of that. And, like, yes, I stuff my face. I eat, like, garbage sometimes. But, like, I always have. You know, like, that's not, like, a new thing. It's not like I've started randomly, like, eating 2 and 3 times what I used to. So something has happened with my body that has caused me to gain weight. Again, it's not something where I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to get off of the lexapro because of that, but that has been something that has happened. So like, let's be real about that, because I know that that's like a question some people have. But overall, I've been feeling good. So if you've been struggling too with like anxiety or depression or both, like, I highly recommend that you talk to somebody, that you get the help that you need. It was scary for a long time to really take the route of getting help, because especially like coming from like a Hispanic culture, like I feel like a lot of that is kind of like frowned upon, or like it's weird to talk about, oh, I went to see my therapist, or I talked to my therapist. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, we all need help. Like, we all are going through a tough time, okay? We're living in a very crazy world right now. So I don't think that there's anything wrong in saying that you need to see a therapist, or that you're gonna look at talking to your doctor about getting on medication. Like, if it can help you and it can help you function and just feel better overall within your daily life, like, that's a good thing. So I have had a positive experience with that, but I do want to tell you, here's like the next step, and here's what I'm struggling with right now. So I'm at a good place. I can finally get in the car, take the kids places. Like, still, like, I still get nervous about certain things, but I'm doing better. I'm making progress. So when I said that I was going to go on lexapro, I never wanted it to be like a long-term indefinite thing. I never wanted it to be something that I have to take for years and years. I wanted it to be like a temporary thing that would help me get back on my feet, and then I could eventually stop. So I'll be real with you. Here's a little story time. So like a week ago, I was approaching the point where like my pill bottle was gonna be empty, right? Where I needed to go to CVS to get a refill. And I was like, you know what? Like, maybe it's just time to stop. Maybe it's time to stop. Maybe I can do this. I'm only on 10 milligrams a day. Like, how hard could it be to really stop? So my plan was, as soon as my pill bottle is empty, I just won't take anymore, right? Which is not recommended, okay? It's not recommended. Like, when I talked to my doctor, she had told me if I was planning on weaning, like, the right way to do it, according to her, was to take one pill, like one day, yes, take a pill, one day, no, don't take a pill, then the next day you take it. So like, go from every day to every other day. So you're slowly lowering your dose. Well, me, I was like, it's only 10 milligrams, so let's just stop taking it. So I stopped taking it once I didn't have it anymore. And for the first like 2 days, I was okay. I was like, look, I didn't need my pill. That's great. By the third day, I was not okay. By the third day, I started to have some symptoms of withdrawal, and that was really scary because I felt kind of like the same way that I felt those first initial days when I started taking it, where I kind of felt like I was like drunk. I was kind of loopy, kind of dizzy, like I had a lot of vertigo, and I just felt weird and I felt off, and I didn't like that because I felt like I was not in control. And that's scary when you're trying to take care of 2 kids, right? So by the end of that day, like when Joe was coming home from work, I told him, please go to CVS and pick up my refill because I need my medication, because obviously I didn't do this weaning process right. I obviously cannot go from taking it to not taking it. So now I'm at a point where like, I'm like, what do I do? Do I just stay on it how I've been taking it all this time? Or do I try to wean but go doing it the right way, like take it every other day and see how that goes? Obviously I don't want to have any negative side effects. Like I feel good, but I don't want to go from feeling good to like feeling awful. But I have heard that when you wean, like there's gonna be a period of time where you may have some symptoms, and sometimes they go away after a week, sometimes they go away after 2 weeks. So like, when is a good time for me to do that? You know, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. But I'll be honest, like that was a scary thing. I didn't like that my body just physiologically reacted in that way. Like that 3rd day I woke up and my heart was beating out of my chest, and I was like, oh great, I have anxiety, why? And then as the day went by, like I started noticing more and more things, and like I said, I was dizzy, and like the world would spin a bit. I'm like, oh no, this is not good. So that's really it. That's just kind of like a little update on how I've been doing, how I've been feeling. I feel like I've been focusing a lot on things that I enjoy. You know, I've been doing my little cricket stuff. I've been doing Riley's homeschooling things and the curriculums, and a lot of that brings me joy. So that makes me happy that, you know, I'm trying to focus on those things. And yes, again, there's still days that are better than others. There's some days that the kids both wake up in a mood and drive me crazy, and those are the rough days. But there's still so much good stuff happening in between that. So that's gonna be it for my update, you guys. If you have any questions about anything, again, I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a healthcare professional, I am not a psychiatrist, I am not a psychologist. All I can do is share what I've been through and my experience, but I'm always gonna recommend that you talk to your doctor or that you get some professional help. But I hope that if you guys are struggling, like I said, that you do get the help that you need, because it's important for you, but it's also important for like your kids. If kids are in the mix and you're a stay-at-home mom and you're struggling, like there's no shame in getting help for that. Like there's no shame in that. Like I'm here telling you guys, like thousands of people, like it's okay. That doesn't make me less of a person, doesn't make me weak in any way. It just means that, hey, life is tough, like life is hard, and if there's things out there that can help you, then that's something worth looking into. But seriously, if you do have any questions about anything, if there's something you want to know, let me know down below. I'll try to answer as many as I can. If I need to do like a second video to this, kind of talking more about like what I learned in counseling and some of the techniques that I learned or things that I've been doing specifically to help, let me know if you would like to see that. I can definitely chat with you guys about that. But I hope that this, at least in general, was helpful, and that it was just a nice way to kind of catch up with me and like how I've been doing. So I love your freaking faces. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, you guys are my best friends, and I just hope that you're all doing well and that you're in a good place. So thank you for being here. I love your freaking faces. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.